There we go. Now we're live. Stephanie's already waiting for us. Hi, Stephanie. Grand rising to you, darling. I almost said it. Grand rising. Try not to say the other thing. Old habits die hard. It's hard not to say the other thing. I say it to everybody all the time.
Laura, I'm going to connect myself with all my things. Hopefully it doesn't disconnect me, but
no, it should be fine. You can add it in.
Okay,
Go for it. People are joining up with us in a sec. Hi, Donna. Hi, Adriana. Rise and shine, everyone. Oh, and he hit the button. It did mess it up. Hi, Michael. Bye, Michael. That was funny. Da, da, da. There we go.
And I'm back. Yeah. Good.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Megan. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Erin. Hello, Katya. How is everyone? Did you guys have a good weekend? I've missed you all. Did you manage to figure it out, Michael?
I did. I just need to do a little description, but I am here.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Nice, and we could stream to more pages at once.
Yeah. I'm glad I remembered. I forget to do this.
Hi, Nicole. Grand rising, everyone. Hi, Chandrika. Hi, Jordan. Hi, Pamela. Hi, Donna. Good. Oh, I see it popped up now. There you go.
Boom.
Well done. Nice.
Yeah, I usually forget to do that until after our live happens, so I'm trying.
I missed you too, Michelle. So nice to be back. Missed you guys. It's been a very relaxing, too relaxing actually, of my weekend. It's like and terrible internet as well. I had to take a serious break from all of my electronics, and it goes to show how big the issue is when you can't access your stuff. You're like, oh wow, I feel very disconnected. So I got to connect with you instead, which is nice. And you're also in a lovely spot. You're in Mexico, aren't you?
I am. I'm in Zipolite, which the culture here has probably shifted a lot since Starlink came out, because now there's fast internet everywhere. I've even met somebody who's traveling with a Starlink system. He's a digital nomad, and so he has Wi-Fi wherever there's open sky. So it's pretty cool. It's made these remote places, just more connected in ways that they can diversify the experiences that people are having, and I can be productive. That's good.
Yeah, I can see it's a very good connection. Hearing you loud and clear.
Yeah.
So what brought you down to Mexico?
Sometimes, huh?
What brought you down to Mexico? You just spend a lot of time down there. You love it, don't you?
Yeah, well, I'm like rediscovering my love for it. What brought me here? So it's a area of Mexico that Ron and I have been wanting to visit for a while, and then in the traveling culture, you hear travelers say, "Oh, you should go check out Zipolite." It's like, so people had this like magical tone in their voice when they would describe this place. And it's also a clothing optional beach. It's the only clothing optional location in Mexico.
Nice.
And it's also a very LGBTQ beyond whatever friendly space. And so I feel like I'm in such a blessed location where there's just a lot of openness and love and connection, running around barefoot, naked in the sun. It's such a unique place to have so many things destigmatized and so many people coming to have that type of experience. So that's, from my human mind, that's why I came here. But then once I came, we might have discussed this on our lives before, but I've been deep in the research of studying the esoterics of the dying process. the spaces in between incarnations and the process of reincarnating. So I've been really deep into this, and Zipolite is an Azteca, I think is the name of the culture that I hope I'm saying it right. It means the beach of death. This is a yeah, I didn't know that until I got here. So and even one morning I woke up, so there's some like dangerous tides, there's an undercurrent along this ocean. I even
Okay.
woke up one morning to a man who had passed away. He was laying on the beach. So I walked out of my apartment and looked over to the beach, which I was very close to the shore, and there was a body there wrapped in white cloth. They were already tending to it. He had swam out drunk at 5 in the morning and drowned. And so I'm like watching this process, the significance of it while I'm in my research, and I'm like so aware of what's coming up for me as I'm watching everyone tend to this body.
Mhm.
And then I started asking the locals. I wanted to know more about it because I was seeing in my inner vision a portal off to the end, and what I was receiving off to the end of the beach was that this was one of the exit points for souls that were leaving the planet, and that so when people are dying here on this beach, it's because it's a quick exit. It's like right there. It's like they can move to their next spot. And I've heard of places like this in Hawaii when I was traveling there. I've also heard of like a Stargate in the Middle East and like maybe Iraq or Iran. But then I started to talk more. I wanted to know what the locals were saying, what's in the folklore about this place. And I came to find that the culture here used to do voluntary human sacrifice here on the land to bring in water, to bring in rain, because they would go through significant droughts without any water. And so I don't know too much about the process or the culture around it, what the ceremony was like, but there's a lot of people have chosen to leave the planet around this location. So it has been really significant for me. Yeah, go ahead.
It's interesting how jovial it is in that space too. People are, having a great time, and then you can take quite a big misstep, I guess, while you're having that great time. But at the same time, you also plan your exit before you leave in most cases.
Yeah.
So,
And I've heard that
wow.
drowning is a really like of the ways to die, it's a blissful experience as people drown, that there's um a bliss that kind of washes over them as they go
Wasn't it
into
Dolores that
surrender
said?
to the experience. What's that?
I think I vaguely remember in one of her books, Dolores was saying, or at least it was the higher self of a client that said that drowning is a lot like death, because they said if you go down to the deepest part of the pool, holding
Mm-hmm.
your breath, and then as your lungs are struggling a little bit, then you go back up to the top and you take a big breath of fresh air. That is what death is like. That it's actually the opposite of what you would expect.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it really makes sense. I'm also some other things that I'm studying or have been studying are in this space. Um, I'm studying the occult process of inner initiation. So this is the process of, when people are starting to get curious about spirituality. And I was thinking about my process of being in completely unaware of the higher worlds, for the first portion of my life, let's say. And then I remember hearing words, like there are trigger words that start to be like a whisper to a person as they begin to awaken. I can speak for myself, but I think this is a general pattern. You hear something for the first time, maybe hearing the word yoga for the first time, never heard it before, but then someone says it, or someone says the word om, or there just starts to be like these trigger words. It's like kind of like you're walking, and then there's like a party happening down the street, and you hear the music, and, oh, I think it sounds kind of interesting over there, so you move a little closer, and then you move, and then eventually you're in the party, you're in the celebration, you walked in the door, you did the whole thing. So I've been studying this process of how a person goes from the mundane living and what the internal processes are within the mind, within the consciousness of the person, within the physicality, what starts to really happen to the person as they start to discover what could be called the hidden path, the occult path, the path that no one knows about till you're ready, like Narnia, the door to Narnia. So, and there's a lot of symbolism here. This is the place of death. There's one of the restaurants is called Arhat restaurant, which is a fourth level initiation. These are like bodhisattvas, adepts, people that are like beyond, they've progressed through their incarnation to the point that they're not here paying back any karmic debts. They're really here in absolute service. They've really refined. But it's the step right before what somebody could call the real Christ conscious master stage. So there's a couple different symbols here, and for me, it's just really triggering a lot of insight, and it's really cool to feel nature and my own path starting to speak to me. And it's just very, very clear that that the path starts to open more and more as you align more and more, and that nature speaks to you and is part of the process of your awakening. And by nature, I mean capital N, the whole world of phenomenon, all the planes and levels. So I'm having a really
That's when the
magical
universe
time.
starts to poke you, like, hey, are you paying attention? Are you looking? Are you listening?
Yeah, look
Because
at
it will get
here.
louder if you don't.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going through their first time awakening right now. And I feel that those of us who have been awakened for a while, we're kind of trailblazers in a way. We're going through the jungle with the machete, chopping up paths for the people behind us have an easier time traversing these paths. So it's a very big thing to do for people, to be that guide.
And the footing is already there. It's like, if you've ever like seen, I don't know how to, well, yeah, I do not explain this. So when chopping the forest, or where you're walking through the woods looking, and then all of a sudden you discover that somebody else has already laid down a path. There's already some footing. Maybe some things have fallen over top
the
of
path
it.
grew in a bit. We had to go back.
You're like, oh, there it is. And this is really what the masters and the prophets and the great mystics of time, they go through this process of initiation so that they can preserve the path for all that will be coming up, up the mountain later. So when we discover it, it's like it's already established. There's already some grooves in the path that we can walk. There's already some footprints, so it's a little easier to find our way.
I like being a tour guide on this path. It's like, watch out for that pit, guys. Like, that's a big one. Like, you don't want to get stuck in that rabbit hole.
Yeah. But if you do, tell me about the story, because you're gonna have a great one after that.
Yeah, exactly. So for somebody that is just now traversing this path and it looks a little scary, what is the first advice you would offer them?
First thing that comes, discernment and self-care are like the two things that come to mind now. There's many things, but to get to discernment, one needs to really discover their still point within themselves, their inner space of silence, their deepest sense of being, because that is truth, capital T. The ultimate truth is what your true identity is. As you come in and make more significant contact with that, then you can start to feel levels of mistruth around you, the different ranges of what resonates with you and what doesn't. But it's very, very crucial. And you'll see now with, there's so much media, there's so much information available about spirituality, metaphysical topics, and diving into those is great. And also there's a lot of junk out there, and there's a lot of misleading things. And then you get people that are have agendas beneath even sharing the highest truths that are available. I mean, there's corruption at every level of the spiritual movements around the world. There's different things that have happened in those groups. But so it's very important to find that deep connection with oneself, and then use that as your gauge. But then the self-care is so important, because there's going to be guilt that comes up. There's going to be shame that comes up, regret, words misspoken, deeds done out of the ignorance that was embodied at that time. So I think it's really
I think it's
important
also important to note that sometimes this isn't even ours. I did a clearing on somebody yesterday that required some psychic surgery, and the soul guides explained that a lot of the shame that he felt within himself is not even his, it's his family's. He's carrying emotional burdens for other people within his own DNA from his own
absolutely.
ancestral line. So to
Yeah.
be purging that too, I mean, it's just very interesting how much we are holding on to things that are not even our bags, so to speak.
Absolutely. As one progresses along the path, the issues become more and more subtle. So at first, it's very clear, at first, before I started to wake up, I was for myself, I was a drug addict and I stole things. I would rob a person blind if it could get me drugs, and have a smile on my face as I did it, and I have a whole show, But then, so first I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to do that anymore. So there's outward actions that start to first be addressed. And then it starts to come in a little bit deeper into maybe the body or the emotions, and starting to reconfigure and harmonize those bodies, those koshas, layers, whatever people want to call them. Towards the, let's say, the third or the fourth initiation, it's subtle. It's conceit, spiritual conceit. After one's developed a level of intellectual spirituality, you have knowledge, information, experience, maybe even lifetimes of living as a spiritual leader, as a king, as a queen. That level has to be addressed, of the subtle, I know better. I know this information. I'm intelligent. You don't have the information. And it can be disguised as something very sweet because you have the information. I can speak on this is where I'm working right now, on my own self. And it's also painful a little bit because it can express as arrogance, or it can express as, yeah, pride or conceit. And it's so this, even the self-love, I've been on this path for quite some time. The self-care is still an essential part of the process, because even at that level, you have to be able to give to yourself and walk yourself through that process. I mean, we're all going through this alone, but this is a deeply, deeply personal experience, ascension, awakening. So ultimately, it's all that relationship that you have with your inner world and your inner self, and the side that no one else gets to see.
I think that's especially important right now. Like highlighting Gray's comment. Gray just said, newly awakened in February of this year, and I feel like I've completely changed. Everyone else thinks I'm completely nuts, but I just see the world so differently. And it's
Yes.
interesting. So many of us are actually deemed crazy when we start having these awakening epiphanies and realizations. And so it's almost like you need a thicker skin that you're developing through this self-love, self-care,
Yeah.
not caring what other people think.
Yes, and even, especially, let's say when you get to the fourth level, let's say this is the correct. I keep saying these numbers. I want to make sure it's clear. So I'm using the occult initiations that are commonly known as the Theosophical Society. This is depicted in the main events of Jesus's life, biblical Jesus, the birth, the baptism, transfiguration, crucifixion, resurrection, and then eventual ascension. There's other steps after, but we can see even at the big master, the big guy, his fourth level of initiation was deeply painful. It's betrayal, it's denial, it's people speaking about his back, wanting him dead. Even like this is the level. This is showing the level of how committed one has to be to their path, their dharmic path, their ascension, even while the world of friends and family members and students turn and say, project their denial, their things. It's like, that's in the world of not of it. That's really
Like,
about
don't
like the
go,
highest
stay
level.
with us,
Stay with
don't
us. Who do you think you
elevate
are?
yourself. Like, no, stay down here with us,
Yeah.
let's talk about the news. Let's talk about celebrities, it's like these things that are from the old world that are trying desperately to cling to, and they're being shed, they're being removed.
Yeah. So So how committed is a person to their path? How firm is their footing? How much faith do they have? How much wisdom, are they carrying? Because the wisdom is what's going to help with the understanding of what's happening to oneself and putting things back together. So I would say for somebody that just woke up in November, find a guide, find a teacher, find, and whether that's a living person or a person that's passed away, find someone that you can have as a model. Because in a world where, just so that you can get some level of mentorship, I know you guys are offering mentorship and as well over there. There are people that are walking their path and they're doing it out of true love and true service, and they've been through, so many different things, and find
Guild
the people
healers.
that,
Yes.
and they're not, sometimes they're not going to be very popular or famous or out there so much. Some of the most crystallized masters on this planet, none of us will ever meet or hear of. They're off in remote areas. They're quiet. They're in their little, they're in their home, and they're just sitting in their alignment. And when you are ready to meet a teacher like that, they come onto the path. A guide just kind of walks out of the forest and says, "Hey, I've got something cool to show you." So with the discernment, with the self-care, with an honest prayer to ask to be led into the path of highest harmony, find good people to be around, and spend some time around them.
I think the key word in all of what you just said is to ask.
Yes, I'm going to keep moving around because I need to plug my computer.
You're fine. You're fine. But we had a funny post that I shared yesterday about the law of attraction and how you have to be very clear about what you're trying to attract in your life. Because if you say things like, there was a funny video where this woman was saying, "God, can you just give me a hand?" As she's walking down the road and she looks at the ground and there's a little hand on the ground and she's like, like I didn't mean literally a hand. I meant and it was really funny. Because even so, the next day she's like, "No, I want 200K, God. Like, that's what I want." And it made me even laugh because in the comment section the next day, somebody wrote that she got 200K in the form of likes on her video.
Yes.
But she still was not being specific enough. You really do have to be specific, and you have to ask for these things. You have to ask for help. You have to ask for guidance. You have to ask for protection. Because these things are not just going to be given to you. You can't just assume, well, I'm a starseed, I'm protected. You probably are, but your degree of protection could be massively larger depending on how much of yourself that you're actually asking, how much you're manifesting, how much you're attracting of these things.
This brings up a really great, I want to speak to something subtle in this. I love what you're sharing here. Two things. One is the specifics with manifestation, and then two is what needs to happen within a person at that place of asking. So first I want to say that I don't know if we've ever got to talk about it, but I created a new quantum healing method a couple months back called the recalibration method. It's it's rapid. I think our sessions go about an hour and a half to 2 hours, take people into the quantum state, and they're able to access information and from the past. A lot of it's family stuff, inner child, ancestral things come up, but then we go into the future. We're using progressive techniques and help people come up with a multi-sensory, you can say picture, but it's motion, it's sensation, it's visualization, it's all of your inner senses: sight, sound, smell, feel. Really feeling yourself in the ideal future manifestation that you want to be in, and then creating an image of that you can access over and over again to recharge your system and realign yourself so that you can quickly manifest your highest and best vision. And there's a couple different things that we do within that, but that's a lot. Often when people say, "I want this," it's usually one thought. It's often coming from an emotional thing, maybe distress or something like that. Really need to come into a space of inner silence. Bring it all up. create it's like not just a picture, but like a Harry Potter picture, movement in the imagery. You know what I'm talking about? The paintings and
Yeah.
stuff in Harry Potter, like where it's like it
Yeah.
comes to life, like your idea, add extra dimension and sensation to it and belief and positive emotion. That's going to really help you get to where you want. So $2,000 or $2,000, it could be, who knows how that can show up. It show up as $2,000 that you have to pay banking fees for later or something, you know, and it's like, so you got to really come up with the specifics of how you want to be and express when that situation manifests. The second thing that I want to say is about this prayer thing, because what's happening in the prayer? There's one thing about the suffering ego that's wanting to get out of suffering, that asks for something out of desperation or thinks it's going to be inflated or more important if it has the thing. What happens when a person is an honest prayer is that the ego humbles itself at the altar and says, help, I don't know what I'm doing. Please guide me. Help me expand beyond this. That right there for me is an authentic prayer. It's reverence, it's humility, it's surrender. And I think those things are really, really important when in prayer, to come into gratitude and all that. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for this place that I'm in. I'm learning so much. Please show me what I need to see so that I can manifest a higher version of myself here. Is that making sense? What do you think as I share
Love
that?
it. And to be honest, I think this is one of the things that people don't realize. Like, for example, prayer is always linked with religion, you know, and there's a reason that so many religions across the world use it, because you are not only asking for help, you're giving permission for this help to come through, but you're also setting that intention, you're setting that vibration, you're calling out for the law of attraction to provide. And these things, a lot of times people don't do these things. They just assume that they're going to have it covered. Like, you know, for example, it's kind of like when you are praying for rain and you are really hoping that rain is going to come. And then you get like a 5-second sprinkle and you're like, what the hell? You know, like, I prayed for rain. Well, you got it, but you weren't specific enough. You say, I need at least 20 minutes worth of rain to get the ground fully wet, you know? So the more you are defined in what you're trying to attract, the more you're clear about this in your prayers, the more likely these things are to manifest exactly the way that you are defining it.
I'm agreeing with you, and I'm reading this. Steph says prayer is just another word for meditation or mantra. You know, it's interesting. I'd like to actually look at the Sanskrit word for prayer. I don't know the Sanskrit word. I have to look into these ancient traditions because they got very specific of what this is and what that is and all that. It'd be interesting to do a little dive into that, but because I do see this statement out there frequently and I understand it a lot. And also, there's something a little bit different in prayer for me as opposed to meditation and mantra. There's an extra quality, and I don't know specifically how to say it now, but there is
it's like you're reaching out to the divine.
There's an extension, there's a handshake happening. There's something that's a little bit more than working with the fluctuations of the mind at mantra and meditation. There's something, it's going a bit beyond, and in
you're
the
not really internalizing it, you're actually expressing outwardly towards it.
You're
reaching out.
happening. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's, you know, with the grittiness that's there for good reason with world religions out there, there's also such. For 10 years, I've been traveling the planetary grid. I've gone to hundreds of sacred sites around the world, ancient sites from different cultures. Some of them are just now either not being used or they're tourist places. I love to see this moment where I look over and someone is in honest prayer at a space where there's tears, where there's like, it's in a world full of people just taking pictures, Instagram, and then there's somebody there that is in their connection. And there are good people all around the world in these different religions that are holding that have found, because the mystical path, the occult path exists even in those religions. There's always the mystics behind, or the people that, that have higher knowledge or whatever. But when somebody comes in, even to mainstream Christianity, there are people that discover the hidden path within that religion, while there's all the things happening around it, all the, issues that, yeah. But there are people that find the hook. And I could go off onto a tangent about that, but there does seem to be a communication. Okay, thank you, Steph. The Sanskrit word is prahana. It's an expression of bhakti, devotion. Okay, there it is. That's the quality that there's that extension of love for something beyond that starts to awaken the heart. And I prayer is beautiful.
Our connection with source and the higher self and the soul guides, it does indeed have that, doesn't it?
Yeah. Thanks for that, Steph. That was really sweet. Thank you.
Yes. Love that.
So we have on the Astara, I took a break. I've been on like sabbatical from so many different things.
Very busy. You've got a lot going on. It's totally cool.
Well, I'm making my reemergence. I'm coming back. I'm so thankful for you all for being open to have me there. I really, really appreciate it and really
love you, Michael. We're always, you and Ron, you're both wonderful. We can't get enough of you guys anytime.
Thank you so much. Well, I got this inspiration that's, oh my gosh, layers and layers of it come in at different times. But we started a year when we had done like a big trip through Asia, and when we were coming back, we were just feeling this. I was getting ready to launch the recalibration method, and I just kept hearing the multiversity that was like going to change to a bigger educational initiative in this organization, New Earth Ascending. And I was like, okay, so we'll start this new project and see how it's developed. And then quickly, more and more things have come in, more and more inspiration. When I get downloads, I get entire like years worth of curriculum, and it comes in quick for me. And I have to and it's usually like 3, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. The other day it was like up until 6, like fingers flying. And thankfully, with the different tools and instruments that are out now and emerging in technology, I can get these data packets of information that come into my mind, heart, and they can become manuscripts and lesson plans.
Downloading the easy part, unpacking what you downloaded. Yeah.
Yeah, making it, tangible. And so I've had many things. So that's what I've been silently working on. No one's been seeing me too much out, is because I've been bringing in a lot of information for this next school year. So it's back to school time over here at New Earth Ascending and Source Energy Network. That's our mighty network that hosts all of this. And one of the things that's going to be happening is this book club. And we're going to be offering different events that are really focused on connection. A lot of them are Zoom meetings. A lot of them are kind of circle-based, in that there's this sacred container that's being created for discourse and debate and conversation and reflection. And, I want to bring back those old temple times and mystery school like cultures but in the new way and online. But so one of the things we're going to be doing is setting the Illumination Codex, Guidance for Ascension to New Earth, which is my book that I published a few years ago. If any of you, does anyone have it here in the chat? I don't have my copy with me because it's big. It's 800 something pages, so I don't travel with it. I just have my Kindle version. But we're going to be diving into this material every 2 weeks. With different focuses that go along within the themes of the curriculum for the school. These are offered for, I think it's part of your membership program there. And it's also in the Source Energy Network, but we're going to have discourse and talk about the topics. I'll read a bit to it. You can follow along. If you check the event on Astara, I even have each week's suggested reading. If you don't get the reading done before the meeting, it's okay. You can still show up. But there's suggested reading and journal prompts, and we'll have conversations about it. We're going to be doing meditations and energy work with the material to help embody it. So it's going to be, I know people learn differently, some through reading, some through feeling in their body, some through hearing, which is the old way of being taught is through oral transmission. So I really encourage everyone to get a copy of that text and come join us and just have to be in the fun and the play of learning, and to be in community and learning together and ask questions and have just to have heartful discourse. I do feel like, different things are going to be happening on the planet, especially in these next few months moving forward. And so we're communities like Astara, like Source Energy Network, these are safe havens, energetic bubbles where people can come in and recharge and stay in their heart and stay focused on the higher purpose of this life at this time, this age, while all the things are happening, out there, that we can have a really sweet nectar spot to not only connect with one another, but to be in reflection and contemplation of the higher reality. For somebody who's just waking up, if we're going back to that question for people that just woke up, have reminders of the higher worlds and the higher connection around you, and put yourself in experiences that are going to trigger reflection and contemplation, whether it's going to a sacred place or being in a discourse about spiritual topics, or having the sounds, the music, visual things around that are going to remind you constantly, oh, wake up in this dream. This is an illusion. What is real? What is true? And so hopefully these meetings are going to support anchoring that contemplation in for people.
Beautifully said. And I feel like this is the like the tipping point, where we're going to be able to look back at this and be like, okay, this is when the shift really began. Even though we've been talking about it for a very long time, this is when it starts to get more obvious, because we are tuning into these higher frequencies and reconnecting in ways. Like I really miss the Theosophical Society. I know there are some still out there, for example, but could you imagine bringing it back to how big as it was in its heyday? There were thousands of chapters all over the world. And then it started to dwindle, and now they're coming back again. And it reminds me very much of what you said earlier about bringing back knowledge that has already been blazed by many wonderful people ahead of us, rediscovering.
Yeah, there's it's interesting that you're bringing that up, because I happened to click a video yesterday and get to watch it, and it's like the future of the Theosophical Society, some lecture that somebody was giving about what maybe they see of how it's evolving. And I imagine, with absolute love and reverence for Theosophical Society, no organization is free of karmic situations and the sine wave and movement of that. And so maybe it, dwindled a little bit, but there's a resurgence of wisdom. This is the Sophianic age, the wisdom age, the age of the Holy Spirit, whatever people want to put on. So wisdom is a big theme of these.
Spiritualist movement is huge, but you know what? Do you know what they say killed the spiritualist movement for so long? TV.
Interesting.
Television. Yeah, because people were going out. They were going out and meeting each other in public. They were having intellectual discussions. And then in like the 50s, 60s, when TV started coming out, that's when less people were going out and having these meetings and discussions. And then the 70s. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the Theosophical Society it's just a group where people come together to discuss anything, really, whether it's spiritualism or occult or religion, history, anything, really.
Well, how I discovered the Theosophical Society, because it was started by Helena Blavatsky, and she was an initiate. She was on her path, going through her things, but she had traveled the world and discovered some really beautiful veins of esoteric knowledge, and was guided by her teachers to bring out the next installment of esoteric knowledge for the public. So her book, The Secret Doctrine, which is, you could spend your entire lifetime studying this thing. It's so encoded. It's so powerful. But after she put that text out, she began to teach some students, and then the movement began to grow. The fact that we're even here talking about metaphysics in a public setting like this is a large part of that is because of Helena's text. She started the New Age movement, and but also even for her, because if we say spiritualism, this is going to be like mediumship and things. They have
And all
a
that. Yeah.
perspective on mediumship there, the Theosophical Society, because of people misusing that capacity. That there was so much happening there. There was
There
actually
were a lot of
people.
charlatans too, selling,
Yeah,
showing off and selling things that were not real. Yeah.
or selling their services, and I find this often with like people going to haunted house attractions and things like that, penitentiaries. I'm like, why? That's like for me, that's even worse than a zoo. It's
Yes.
more abusive than a
The
zoo.
animals are not locked behind cages when you go in there. The beasties anyway.
Yeah. Or like they're like these beings need to move on. Like we don't need, instead of using them and feeding them through human curiosity and stuff, like let's help them transition, not make
So much
amusement
human
out of it.
curiosity, though, is responsible for a lot of advancement, though. And some mistakes, obviously. We humans tend to learn a lot through mistakes.
Yeah.
And they had quite a lot of them back in that era with the seances and the Ouija boards they were using. And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, they were blazing some very dark places, trying to get some light brought in there. And you do see people like, I'm just thinking of Crowley as an example, that have taken that in a completely different direction,
Many expressions of spirituality, and that's why it's super important. With my research that I do, there's certain texts and people and things that there's like a don't go there, not permitted to look at that material. Like the anthroposophy stuff, Steiner's work, he veined off from Theosophical Society. For whatever reason, I'm not to read his information. I don't know what he brought in,
I've
what
been
flavor
told
he
not to
brought
as
in.
well. They said that it's kind of like, for example, there was a client that I cleared that had made a deal with the devil, so to speak, back in the medieval times. And I asked more information about it, and they're like, actually, we're not going to tell you too much more because you've got your own past history involving these things. We don't want to, scratch anything, bring it to the surface, sort of thing. So there are some, and I feel that many of us probably were members of the Theosophical Society in our past lives, which is why I was invited to rejoin. I joined the Edinburgh chapter when I was living in Scotland. And so that was amazing. Just being part of the old building there. It was a 400-year-old building that we're meeting in every day, filled with a library of books. Some of these books were 400 years old too. And it was just, the things that we learned just by sitting there together and talking every week for a couple hours. It was probably my most favorite time I've ever sat in a group. Really, I loved it. Every single week I learned something new and fascinating, and they were instrumental in me understanding my experience, because this was only a year or two after my first astral projection, and I really didn't know hardly anything about spiritualism. And they sent me home with so many books I couldn't even carry them all. They're like, oh yeah, just make sure you bring them back, and it's kind of what I wish a religion was in many ways. Because wouldn't it be nice if they, instead of just handing you one book, they're like, here's 20 books, enjoy, see what you like. If you don't like certain things, that's fine. We can discuss it next week.
Well, so you bring up a great point. And Steph, maybe since you're on it with the searching of words, maybe check out the true definition or root of the word religion, because it's older. It's an old word. It's coming from I don't know. Maybe we'll find out here in a little bit. But there are religions that are pure. They're the masters, the ascended beings. They are part of a religious movement, and it's the natural, organic religion, devotion that is inherent in awakened consciousness, that emerges through people and beings that are aligned with their inner source or higher source, whatever you want to call it. So there are, and I imagine, if we talk about mystery schools on other planets, other things, they have texts. They have, maybe it's a crystal tablet or something, or maybe it's some other, but there are records of spiritual philosophy all throughout this universe that are very powerful. Even as you get into as you go through the initiation process, there are certain concepts that are completely off limits until a person is ready has worked on humbling their egoic structure, coming into higher knowledge, building up the different bodies. Once a person gets to and we can see this happening. It's happening in the example of Christ. There's the miracles start to get really, really, really big, and that's because the capacities begin to open, and that's also because of his studies that he was doing at the time, the masters that he was meeting with that were preparing him for his thing. So there's information out there. My book is an excellent one. I mean, I worked on this for 6 years. It was given to, there's 58 transcripts in there. So this is like information that came through. And then spanning so many stories from the beginning of creation of this particular universal creation, and going through cosmic, galactic history, planetary history, things that are just not there. Although when I read The Secret Doctrine and the things that Helena Blavatsky was bringing through about what the occultists have been saying about our history, and then lining it up like Sanat Kumara and the Venusians coming to start to liberate. In the book, I have people coming with Sanat Kumara and Lady Venus coming to the planet and beginning to clear. So you get to be there and witness the scene as it's unfolding of this huge historical moment right there. And they entrusted me with such important storylines and perspectives. And I worked on it so devotedly and with such great focus and with such excitement to gift it to the world. That would be here, that people could hold it and have this information. And then I went into the esoteric lineages and found all of the information that can really help boost and accelerate spiritual growth and evolution of civilization and things like that. This text also, through prayer, as I would go to work on it, I would ask to have the higher coding put into the words that I would use. So it's not even just you read the words, there's multidimensional intention put into the text itself that as you're reading, it's going to trigger really profound insight for a person as they're reading it. And there are many texts like this, like the Keys of Enoch by J.J. Hurtak, which was also a received text. Very, very powerful. I mean, I can't even understand the depth that he's bringing in very much, but it moves things in me just to read it. So there are incredible what you could call religious texts that are out there. Even for me, I'm going through my fourth initiation right now, fourth level initiation. So I'm in the betrayal phase. I'm in the people denying, people leaving, having to go through. It's deeply, deeply painful. It's the egoic death. I mean, Christ on the cross. It is like ego is not real. The higher world is real. Offer this body to the world. And so I'm going back. I haven't read the Bible in years, but I'm reading Matthew. I'm reading the gospel. I'm returning to it because there's information in there encoded in the text that's really crucial for me right now. And if I still held at all a stigma about religion or Christianity, that's an egoic construct. That would keep me from being open to the wisdom that's available, even in the most distorted spaces. So going back to that original question, what's really important as you're learning your journey? Discernment. And then, and then transitioning the ego a bit. Let me see if anyone came up with a definition of religion here.
Oh yeah, he nailed it within seconds.
Oh, he's so good. The root of the word religion comes from the Latin word religio, which means obligation, bond, reverence. The word religio is derived from the Latin word religare, which means to bind fast or to tie back.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that, Steph.
Yes, so good. Well, I don't even know where we were going before that, but there was a question I was so excited to talk about. But anyway.
So you've got a lot going on. I didn't realize you've already been chatting 50 minutes. Our chats always go so quickly.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I enjoy chatting with you so much.
Yeah,
so a little bit about what you've got coming up.
Well, Ron and I have been deep in the last 5 months going into marketing, which makes my high frequency beingness, not used to this planet, all feeling kinds of weird going into those. I don't know if I want to
Put
do
yourself out there.
that. But I've been facing that part of myself and learning a lot. And so we're getting ready to start a school year, September 2nd, where we do a lunar calendar for our curriculum. And there's going to be many, many educational programs coming out. We've been diving into marketing to cultivate and create a system of marketing that actually it catalyzes a transformation in consciousness and builds connection and community. So we've been working really hard on that. We're coming up on the final things. So you're going to see a lot of media coming out from us, a lot of content, just really a lot. We're going to, so much is coming. So stay tuned for that. Follow me on all my social media things because there's going to be a lot of information. Also check out the Source Energy Network. It's our mighty network. You can go to source.energy, like www.source.energy, or if you're using Mighty Networks on like for Astara, then you can just sign into that. We're going to come up with some other fun and sweet exchanges for those communities. But so starting in September, each month we'll have a theme. Like an overarching theme of the month with subtopics. Each week we'll transition through a different focus. We're inviting people to be creative with these different focuses and to create art and media and contribute it to the community on Source Energy. I'm calling this, it's an unofficial title, I'm calling this the Renaissance Project. While the world seems to be falling apart, let's create a cultural revolution of what is emerging and what could be coming in this future for us. We're focusing on future visioning. We'll be doing recalibration method stuff. We'll be doing future self-progression, like hypnosis journeys and meditations. So it's Ron, myself, a woman named Jacqueline, and a dear friend of mine for many years, Jennifer. We'll all be sharing and teaching, and there's different projects. And that's going to progress each month. Each new moon, there will be a new theme, a new artistic prompts for the community to offer, to create, and different events to come. So that's really the big thing. I've been compiling different trainings. We're going to have a connection circle immersion. Circles are a major part of New Earth governance systems moving forward, whether it's and I'm talking about like not New Earth Ascending like my organization, but like, New Earth. People see this a lot in the sessions of people sitting in council, sitting in circle. I mean, even when people go to meet their spirit guides, often there's a table and everyone's sitting around it. So the circle is a very powerful technology that has been around for endless time. People coming and sit around the fire to deal with conflict, to talk about issues that are going on in the environment or in the community, to come into prayer and devotion and reverence. So we have a circle immersion coming at the end of September that I'm really excited about. I've been creating a training manual for that because what I saw in a meditative vision was there are many people that want to be a part of this great change that's happening, or they see so much discord and issues happening, but they don't know what to do. And they'll probably never learn a quantum healing hypnosis thing or run a network like you all are doing, but they can hold a circle. A circle is very easy to do, and it's very transformative. The rim representing the universal connection between all of life. When people sit and circle together, powerful things can happen, and you don't have to do too much other than call the circle in, hold the container, set the container, close it up, and it works. I was, in my recovery process of going through 12-step programs, NA, AA, Sex Addicts Anonymous, Love Addicts Anonymous, Codependence Anonymous, yoga teacher training. I've sat in so many personal development circles to really know the power and the potency of sitting together like this. So what I'd like to do with that training after is then empower everyone to begin creating circles in their communities, in their churches, in their homes, sitting with their family to deal with whatever the family needs to process. Let's start reinvigorating circle culture around the world so that all these systems can collect, they're going to do what they're going to do, but we, the people, can come together in our great diversity and begin creating something new right now. And as we sit in circle, waves of that unity go out that can be felt by all levels of life in those communities. So please, I invite you, if you're feeling resonant, you can see
Did
how
you see Daniel Jackson's comment there? We love you, Daniel. Daniel just said, need a fat 3-day retreat with a drum circle here at the River of Death. Yes, it's a magical place.
Beautiful.
We love that. We have to meet you down there in Mexico one of these days, and we'll have a nice big. We would have a great time with a retreat, I imagine.
Yeah, it's a special. I don't even know when I'm going to be leaving this place because it's really so magical, and with everything that's going on, I've had some dreams and things that are kind of pointing me in. Maybe I'm going to be staying here while things are happening around the world. We'll see. But I think this is an invitation. A lot of these events are completely free, and this is an invitation. We wanted to create a space that is off the beaten path. It's like that little trail with the music that you hear off in the forests. That's what we wanted to create. While all the stuff's going down, it's not a left versus right, awake versus unawake, Democrat versus Republican. Like that's all good, and people can do that, and they're blessed to do that. That's their thing. And there are those that are wanting to cultivate the third option. Whether it's just, I wish there was something else. I wish there was something else to do. I don't like doing these things that I used to do. It's so, well, we're all creating these third options and over here for people to come and focus on and rejuvenate. So that's a little bit about what I'm going to be doing coming up.
We really appreciate you. And thank you so much for everything that you do for Astara as well, for our little community. We are so blessed to have you join us. And I feel like there's going to be wonderful things in the works ahead. We're building as we go. It's so exciting seeing all of this unfold, especially I like how you explain what we can create when we're sitting in a circle together. And even now, I feel like we're kind of sitting in a circle, even now, just having this conversation.
Yeah. And people are receiving wisdom, insight within their own reflection as it's happening. They're offering it in the chat. Like that's the other thing. We can tune into higher wisdom and come up. Everyone sees a different angle of a solution to a problem. We bring it all together. Wow, we can create a dynamic change together through imagination, through intention, through prayer, through that devotion. I mean, all the things that we've discussed in this conversation can be used. The other thing I want to discuss, because we have these two. We have been doing quantum healing training for, I think, 4 or 5 years. And, we had learned from the OG method, and there were issues there. And also with the training, felt very, disconnected. And we've seen the same issue coming up with a couple different methods that are out there, and that the people don't feel supported. They don't have access to get their guidance to know how to do it. Ron and I have always been very, very, very available, very generous, very giving with our students to make sure that they have the absolute best. But we're going to up level that, in that some people can understand the concepts, but they don't know how to get their business off the ground. They don't know how to market. They don't know what to do to get that thing flowing. So they can have the tools, but they don't have any clients coming in. Or they don't have a support system with goal deadlines of oh, I'm going to get this done by then. So we're going to be implementing buddy systems in our training. So there's going to be somebody else in your group that you can study with, that you can connect with. We're going to have study groups for people to build relationship and because people will complete things more successfully if they're supported and if they have loved ones next to them that can help them along the way. And so many people are alone in their process right now, alone in their awakening process, don't have anybody else around them. So the online community is where they turn. So, and then once you learn these different methods because it's not just the IQH or the recalibration, there's a couple different spiritual guidance methods that are in that training. Then you can move up and become a mentor for the new students. So we're going to create this culture of the mystery school culture where there's some levels of I don't know if I like the word aptitude, but levels of experience, that can then feed. So it becomes a system, a culture of supportive educational container versus what a lot of these trainings are, which is anyone in the world can just buy the course and do it and get a completion certificate, but you don't know the quality, you don't know the ethics of the person, you don't know their intentions. You might not know. And for us, we'd rather have a smaller group of people that are trained and certified than to have a million of them and we don't know the quality, and people can have unsafe situations come up or things like that. So if you're wanting to learn quantum healing hypnosis, we really invite everyone to check out the Evolutionary Facilitator program, because you're going to be supported, you're going to be cared for, and there's a lot of wisdom there to make sure that you have a successful, let's use the old word, career, and that your business is going to work, you're going to know what to do, and you can take your gifts out into the world in a successful way and create really positive impact. So I just wanted to also put that there, that there's that's the other thing that's coming up.
I'm going to share your link for everybody that would like to join. There are so many wonderful things I've heard from your students, Michael. Really, I've not heard anything but wonderful things from them. And they're saying that you are a wonderful mentor, that you have been instrumental in helping them understand. Because hypnosis is quite a very complicated thing. You know, there's so many different methods and modalities, and everybody's kind of doing it their own way. But you have put so much time and effort into making sure that yours is almost foolproof in a way, and it's wonderful how much
Thank you so much. I mean,
Thank
thank you so much, and I want to give the glory to the divine for being able to shine its love through me and let me be an extension of that care and emanation of wisdom in the best way that I can in service to life. And it's a process that I'm still walking myself home to completely. So I have my own, my own blind spots and things, but it is my honest prayer to be in the highest level of service and to make sure it's smooth. It's such a mothering thing that I want to make sure that everyone has what they need. And there's more to say, but I lost it. It ran off the other direction. So it went that way. So thank you so much. Yeah. What I wanted to say was the recalibration method was created because of all the issues that were there. Sessions are too long for some people, too expensive for some people, not sustainable. Some practitioners want to do it, but they don't want to sit for 5-6 hours to hold a session for somebody. So we know all the problems that are out there in those. And we either we're part of that or we experience it in our own thing, and so we wanted to create the solution for it because it was definitely needed. So
I think things are meant to evolve. There's going to be things that pop up and you're like, okay, this has to be addressed, and then you do address these things and you do work it out, and that is something that it makes it very fluid and it grows with you, and that is bravo.
Absolutely. Impermanence is the truth of this phenomenal universe. The thing that's unchanging is the light that you are, the consciousness that you are. Yeah.
Mic drop.
All right. This has been such a pleasure.
You so much, Michael. I would love to also say hi to Ron at some point soon too. So please give him our love. We do miss Ron as well. It's so wonderful to see you both. And I imagine you've got a lot that's going to be going on. So we'll be chatting again, hopefully in a couple weeks, and seeing how things unfold.
That would be so sweet. And I really look forward to it. And I really so appreciate the chorus of episodes that you're putting out and the work that you're doing and the care that you're putting out into this world, and for holding this space for people. You've created an opportunity for so many to connect in a world of separation and fragmentation. Thank you so much for holding a space of unity and connection for people.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Our star seeds, we need to back each other up as much as we can. So we're all just doing whatever we can with what we've got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks. Yeah.
I
Bless
love you
you.
guys.
Love you
I'm so
too.
happy that you joined us. It's 11:11, by the way, which is really funny. I'm going to look at my phone to see what to promote today. It says 11:11. It's funny. So today at 12:15 is the free drop-in with Kim Beekman. For those of you who would love to have a quick little check-in. We've also got the Om Daily Coherence, the 28-day challenge tomorrow with Jacqueline Burke. That'll be at 9 a.m. Tomorrow at 1 p.m., Andy and Chen are actually going to be leading a past life regression, a group past life regression. Here we are talking about hypnosis. And if you guys would like, you can be hypnotized by Chen tomorrow. That'll be at 1 p.m. And then tomorrow at 6 p.m., we also have the free messages from Spirit in our everyday life. So we've got all kinds of wonderful things on Astara. And we'll keep you guys updated for when Michael's going to be joining us on there as well.
Yeah, I think it's on Friday the 6th, maybe, but don't check your events on Astara.
I will be promoting it everywhere for you, no problem.
I exist mostly outside of time. I don't really have constructs of time. I have to like actually look at something to know. Thank goodness my phone makes a noise when I have something to do. Because otherwise I have no idea what date it is, day of the week, time. So thank you. Yeah.
Yes, Maria, that's going to be a Zoom chat with Chen. Everybody's going to be able to be hypnotized if you would like. We'll do some past life regression, something different and yet fun. So that'll be great. Wonderful. Thank you, Michael. We love you. We really appreciate you joining us. And I love you all. Mwah. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye, guys.